Britain faces rising pressure on its borders, growing fear in Jewish communities, and new warnings from senior police about the language used on our streets. There are major developments in several serious sexual offence cases, fresh questions for ministers in Scotland, and a cultural row over Father Christmas that sparked an unexpected debate about tradition. It's Wednesday, 24th December 2025. My name is Katie, and these are your news headlines. If you want clear reporting you can trust, like, comment and subscribe. No bias, no bullshit, just the news you need. More than 1,000 people crossed the English Channel in small boats over the last week, according to new Home Office data. More than 800 people made the journey on Saturday night alone on 13 boats. That is the highest single-day total since the 8th of October. It brings the total for this week to 1,374 people on 23 boats. The total for the year so far now stands at 41,455 people in 671 boats. It means that 2025 now has the second highest number of small boat crossings ever recorded, behind only 2022. The government says it is continuing to work to address what it calls the upstream causes of the migration crisis, including joint efforts with neighbouring countries. Children in Jewish schools in the UK are now undertaking regular security drills to prepare for the possibility of an anti-Semitic attack. The Heaton Park synagogue attack on the 2nd of October and the attack on Bondi Beach in Australia on the 14th of December have increased the fear felt by many families. High fences and volunteer security guards are already a normal part of daily life. The attack in the UK, which killed Melvin Kravitz and Adrian Dolby, brought that fear directly into the streets where children walk to school. Parents and community leaders say the level of security has become normalised but remains unacceptable. A 16-year-old student from Finchley told LBC he felt scared going to school and constantly checked behind him when walking outside in his kippah. He said students now hide under tables in regular drills and that he had written to the Prime Minister about his fears but received no reply. Following the attacks in Manchester and Bondi Beach, the Met Police and Greater Manchester Police said they would arrest people holding placards or chanting the phrase "Go globalise the Intifada." The Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, said the authorities were doing everything they could to support the Jewish community. He said the impact of recent attacks had been immediate and severe, and that intimidation or incitement could not be tolerated. The Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police, Sir Stephen Watson, said words and chants used at protests had real-world consequences. He said the Crown Prosecution Service had previously advised that many phrases causing fear in Jewish communities did not meet prosecution thresholds, but that the threat context had changed. He said people using phrases such as "globalise the Intifada" at future protests should expect police action and that officers would act decisively and make arrests. Police leaders are set to recommend that non-crime hate incidents should be scrapped and replaced with what they described as a common-sense system. Under the plan, only the most serious incidents would be recorded as antisocial behaviour. The recommendation forms part of a review by the National Police Chiefs Council and the College of Policing, which is due to be published next month and given to the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. The proposal would treat non-crime hate incidents as intelligence reports rather than entries on a crime database. Officers would use a checklist to ensure they focus on serious antisocial behaviour, including antisemitism. The review follows the Met Police's decision in October to stop investigating non-crime hate incidents after confirming that Graham Linehan would face no further action over posts he made on X about transgender issues. Police are searching for a registered sex offender who has breached the conditions of his release from prison. Officers are trying to trace 55-year-old Darren Inkpen, who has connections to Kent and Sussex. West Yorkshire Police said he was released from prison on the 13th of November and was due to stay in a hotel in Leeds, but he failed to register an address and did not attend a probation appointment. 2 images of Inkpen have been released, one more recent than the other. Police believe he could be in the Broadstairs area of Kent or in Newhaven in Sussex. If you want clear reporting you can trust, like, comment and subscribe. No bias, no bullshit, just the news you need. Philip Young, aged 49 and formerly of Swindon, has been charged with 56 sexual offences against his ex-wife Joanne Young, aged 48. The charges include multiple counts of rape, administering a substance with intent to stupefy, voyeurism, possession of indecent images of children, and possession of extreme images. Police say the offences took place between 2010 and 2023. 5 other men have also been charged with sexual offences against Miss Young, who has waived her automatic legal right to anonymity. Detective Superintendent Jeff Smith said this was a significant development in a complex and extensive investigation, and that Miss Young has been supported by specially trained officers throughout. The scale and structure of the allegations have echoes of the recent Giselle Pellicot case in France, where investigators uncovered a long-running pattern of multi-perpetrator abuse only after years of silence and coercion. An asylum seeker who raped a 17-year-old girl in a park in Elgin has been jailed for 9 years. The perpetrator from Afghanistan attacked the teenager in Cooper Park in August last year after approaching her and making intimidating remarks. He was convicted of rape and threatening or abusive behaviour. Judge Thomas Welsh said the accused had acted in a predatory manner and taken advantage of a vulnerable teenager who was unknown to him. He said the harm caused was profound and long-lasting. The perpetrator was placed on the sex offenders register indefinitely, and the judge stated that the offender's deportation was an issue for the Home Office. Russell Brand has been charged with further sexual offences by the Met Police. The 50-year-old comedian and political commentator has been charged with 1 count of rape and 1 count of sexual assault in relation to 2 women. These charges are separate from the allegations of rape, indecent assault and oral rape, as well as 2 counts of sexual assault, for which he has previously pleaded not guilty. Detective Chief Inspector Tariq Faruqi said the women who had made reports continued to receive support from specially trained officers and urged anyone with information to come forward. A transgender rapist who began identifying as a woman after committing a sex attack has complained about life in a male prison. Lexi Secker, formerly known as Alex, was jailed for 6.5 years last November for raping a friend in Woodlands in Wiltshire. Secker continues to deny rape. The offence was recorded as being committed by a male. Secker has since written letters from His Majesty's Prison, Ashfield, claiming to have experienced sexual assault, harassment, transphobia, misogyny, threats and other abuse in custody. Secker's victim told the court that she had been left traumatised and suffered ongoing anxiety, shame and fear. Scotland's Justice Secretary Angela Constance is to be investigated over whether she breached the ministerial code in remarks she made about grooming gangs expert Professor Alexis Jay. Constance told Parliament that Professor Jay did not support further inquiries, but emails later showed the comments referred only to inquiries in England and Wales. Opponents said Constance misled Parliament and failed to correct the record. She survived a vote of no confidence last week after the Scottish Greens backed the Scottish Government. Independent advisers have now notified the First Minister that they intend to launch an investigation. For Women Scotland says the Scottish Government has not yet paid the legal costs owed to the group after its landmark Supreme Court victory earlier this year. The group won its case in April, when judges ruled that the term woman in the Equality Act refers to biological sex. The Scottish Government has said it accepts the ruling, but the group's director, Susan Smith, said ministers had still not paid the money owed. She said the group feared the delay was a deliberate strategy and that it could take months for the money to be paid, even after further court action. For Women Scotland have suggested that the Scottish Government are trying to bleed them dry financially. But J.K. Rowling reminded the Scottish Government that For Women Scotland has her financial backing. A judge has given doctors permission to administer a blood transfusion to a 14-year-old Jehovah's Witness if she needs one following an operation. The Court of Session in Edinburgh heard that the girl had told doctors she did not consent to a transfusion, even in an emergency, because of her religious beliefs. Lady Tate granted the order, saying she was satisfied it was in the child's best interests while giving appropriate weight to her views. She said the probability of a transfusion being required was small, but the consequences of not giving one if needed would be severe, including a risk of death. Don't miss the next bulletin. Subscribe, like and comment today. No bias, no bullshit, just straight reporting. Greta Thunberg has been arrested at a demonstration in the City of London in support of Palestine Action protesters who are on hunger strike in prison. The 22-year-old activist was detained after attending an early morning protest on Fenchurch Street. A video shared by the Prisoners for Palestine group showed her holding a sign saying she supported the Palestine Action prisoners and opposed genocide. City of London Police said a 22-year-old woman was arrested and later bailed for displaying a placard in support of a proscribed organisation under Section 13 of the Terrorism Act. Several imprisoned Palestine Action activists have been taken to hospital in recent days, including one who has refused food for 52 days. Police have concluded that no further action will be taken against rapper Bobby Vylan over chants made during a performance at Glastonbury Festival. The performer led crowds in chanting "Death to the IDF" on the West Holts stage in June. Avon and Somerset Police said a senior detective had reviewed all the evidence and that it did not meet the criminal threshold for prosecution. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the man formerly known as Prince Andrew, is understood to have voluntarily surrendered his gun licence after a visit from the Met Police. Officers attended his Royal Lodge residence in Windsor last month ahead of his expected house move in the new year. The Met Police said firearms licensing officers visited on the 19th of November to request that a man in his 60s voluntarily surrender his firearms and shotgun certificate. The certificate was surrendered. No. Andrew is expected to move to Norfolk in the new year after he was stripped of his titles over his links to the late paedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. His connection to Epstein came under scrutiny again last week after a photo of him lying on the laps of women was released by the US government as part of the Epstein files. Appearing in the files is not evidence of a crime. Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing. And finally, Brighton and Hove museums have said Father Christmas is too white and should be decolonised in the name of diversity. In a blog post published ahead of Christmas, the museum said the traditional image of Santa was too judgmental over children's behaviour and promoted what it described as Western binary values. The post said the idea of a white Western Santa deciding whether children around the world were naughty or nice reinforced assumptions about power or authority and cultural superiority. A spokesman for Brighton and Hove museums said the public was free to agree or disagree with the blog and that it had been written in 2023 as part of the organisation's culture change work. Those are your news headlines. Thank you for listening. It is Christmas Eve, and despite what Brighton and Hove museums say, Santa will be visiting everyone this evening, hopefully, if you've been nice. And if you've been naughty, well then you deserve not to get any presents. And I don't care if that makes me colonialist or whatever bollocks it was they said. Anywho, thank you for listening and thank you for your support. It really does mean a lot to me. And I look forward to the new year, see what it brings. And I wish everyone, whether you celebrate or not, I wish you a Merry Christmas.